Good morning. It is partially rainy here. I don't know what it'll be like on Thursday when you're watching these, but it has been a good week. We've been able to go outside some, so that's been nice for us. So we will begin with Bible this morning. So if you haven't already narrated to somebody what we read last week about David's triumphal entry into Jerusalem with the ark, after a little stop and start, then pause the video and go ahead and do so. And then when you finish, come back, restart the video, and we'll begin. So this week we're actually going to move to the Psalm because it goes along with our story, and I thought it was a neat extension to what we heard last week and what we read last week. So we're going to actually be in Psalm chapter 24. And I'm going to read to you. You can go ahead and turn there with your Bibles if you have your Bibles in front of you. But I'm going to read to you from J. Patterson Smith's guide, which Alvieri uses for the younger years, because I really liked what he had to say in there. Just helps us to understand a little bit more about this, the joy and the exaltation of God when David brought the ark to Jerusalem and how precious that was. So forgive me as I look this way to read to you, but here is what his commentary has to say on that. I've often tried to picture to myself this coming of the ark. Evidently, it was made a great festival day for the nation and surrounded by all the pomp and all the dramatic setting that David delighted in. The story in 1 Samuel suggests this, but very slightly. This is in 1 Samuel chapter 12. You have to go to the Chronicles, the ecclesiastical history of the nation, for a full, glowing description. 1 Chronicles chapter 15 gives the whole procession of priests and Levites and elders and captains and the great white-robed choir of men and boys, the representatives of the whole nation in dramatic procession, bringing up the ark of God from the woods of Kirjath. And Shemaiah, the choir master, was there with the singers. And they brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and cornets and trumpets and cymbals sounding aloud with psalteries and harps. When you read over 1 Chronicles chapter 15, you get an idea of the grandeur. And then we open our Bible to Psalm 24. So I'm going to read this out loud as you follow along. The King of Glory. Does that sound familiar? A Psalm of David. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the rivers. Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? He who has clean hearts and a pure heart, clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to what is false and does not swear deceitfully. He will receive blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek the face of the God of Jacob. Lift up your heads, O gates, and be lifted up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord, strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O gates, and lift them up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. Clearly, this psalm is arranged for some special function, and there's much probability in the belief that it was especially written as one of the processional psalms for this procession of the ark. Bringing the whole dramatic setting before you, you see a long line of worshipers winding up the hillside, the Levites in front bearing the ark, and as they climb up Mount Zion, the hill of the Lord, a single voice dramatically chants this: Who shall ascend unto the hill of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? And the great choir responds together: He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn to deceive his neighbor. Surely the effect must have been very impressive as the vast crowd winds up the hill. Listen again. They are now at the gate of the old city of Melchizedek, and the Levites are demanding an entrance for the ark of God. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, you ancient doors, and the King of glory shall come in. But the gates do not open yet. Instead, from within the barred city, a clear voice rings out, "Who is the King of glory?" And you can fancy the delight of King David as he hears the great multitude burst forth in one glad, confident, triumphant cry, "The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle, even the Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory." And at that proclamation of the Almighty, you see the ancient gates crashing back on their hinge and the great procession sweeping through, bringing in the ark of God. What a wonderful description this was. That's why I wanted you to listen to that. Why I wanted to read that to you, because it was such a beautiful word picture. And now you can go back and reread Psalm chapter 24. And if you're with family, or well, obviously you'll just be with family, you can take turns reading just as the psalm suggests, where someone asks a question and some of you answer the question, and then all of you can proclaim the last two verses. Lift up your heads, O gates, and lift them up, O ancient doors. And then whoever asks the question, "Who is this King of glory?" all of you can answer, "The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory." I thought this psalm was very appropriate for the week. Also, not only does it go along with what we're reading in 2 Samuel concerning David and David bringing the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem, but also because on Sunday is Easter. And so we would, if we were in our churches together, we would be celebrating the King of Glory and his entrance, not for us into Jerusalem, but into heaven, and then is someday returning to bring all of those who know him and love him back to heaven with him. And I love that it goes along with our hymn, "The King of Glory comes, let the nations rejoice." So now is a good time to stop the video, and you can go on and click the link to our hymn and sing the hymn and see how many words and phrases in our hymn go along with the psalm that we read today.